Should be good.
All right. Hello, everyone. We have a great show coming up in a few. Stay tuned.
Black space is a place for us.
Real people with real issues.
Discussing real topics.
Black space.
A safe space for our community.
All right. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for tuning in on Black Space Live. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter. Oh, still going.
Black space is a place for us.
Real people with real issues.
Greetings, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Black Space Live. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and much, much more. It's about 30 more. I am your host this evening, Miss Network NiQ, and tonight's topic will be speaking on how Black people can benefit from stock trading in the bear market. And tonight we have two amazing gentlemen. I'll go ahead and let you, Mr. Stock Market Jay, introduce yourself and where we can find you.
Hey, peace, investing fam. I'm Stock Market Jay. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Handle Stock Market Jay for each one of them. I'm mostly active on Facebook, so that's definitely where you're gonna get all the news you can use. All right, and then you can find my podcast, Stock Market Tour Guide, streaming on all major platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Anchor, Spotify, Stitcher, RadioCast, all that good stuff.
Thank you for joining us. And Mr. DJ Bay, yourself.
Peace, everyone. I'm DJ Bay. I'm mostly active on Instagram these days. My handle is Prince of Hemp, HEMP, and my link tree is on there, linktree/DJ Bay, and then you can catch all my handles: the Discord, the Trust Fund Baby podcast, and also the Trust Fund Baby Mastermind, which is djbaymastermind.com. But that's about it.
All right. And thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. I can't wait to dive right in. Everything seems so interesting, but I'm going to start with Mr. Stock Market Jay first. What do you think, and why do you think it's imperative for Black people to actually get into the stock market right now when it seems like I heard everything was gonna crash?
Well, contrary to popular beliefs, it's actually a crash is a good thing. That's what you want. It's like it's a buying opportunity. You know, it's like Black Friday sale in the stock market. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of people they're fearful of what a down market, a bear market cycle could mean, because it's money gonna be potentially lost. I'm gonna say that because you don't realize a loss until you close or exit out of position, and that's where the lack of education comes in. That so you see and I'm gonna use this term right here in our culture. You see a Black Friday sale or any types of sales, and people go crazy, right? You're running to the stores. People are knocking grandmothers over and everything, trying to get those electronics and all the other good stuff. But in the stock market, though, it's the same thing. Like when the market is crashing, or we're in a bear market, or the market is down, which a bear market is when stocks are 20% off of their previous highs. That's when you can buy a dollar bill for 50 cents. That's when you can buy a dollar bill for 70 cents. You know what I'm saying? That's when stocks are on sale. So that's when it's actually time to double, triple your net worth. You know, as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you're educated, this is the time to buy. You know what I'm saying? This is when you want to jump in there and get active in the markets.
And how long you been doing it?
I've been doing this about 3 years now. So I started off investing whenever Dogecoin was jumping off, and I don't even touch crypto anymore. But a buddy of mine told me about some Dogecoin. I jumped in, made a couple $100, and then I ended up making some dividend income. I was like, man, if I can make some money from like not even trying, I just ended up buying some random stocks. I was like, man, if I can just make some money without even trying, imagine what happened if I tried. And then it just snowballed from there. But yeah, so I've been investing for about 3 years, taking courses, about 3 courses now, going to seminars. Definitely encourage everyone to read The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. It's like one of the Bibles of the stock market. That's Warren Buffett's mentor. I think we all know who Warren Buffett is, the greatest fundamental investor, a value investor of this generation. About 500 pages long. That one in Securities Analysis by Benjamin Graham as well. Another book I read, it laid the foundation. It's a lot of the educational value goes into investing in the stock
So
market.
I have a question, and I want both of y'all's take. Somebody's echoing, but I want both of y'all's take on this because this is the only reason why I am a little reluctant to kind of put my money in the stock market, because even though I think what you're talking about is the Black Friday sale, it's like, but what if my money gets stuck in there? Because they tell people to take their money out of the bank. Like, like, is there a way to prevent my money from getting stuck in that little cycle? Because it's digital once it's in there, right?
Yeah, it's digital, but the thing is, it's like investing in stocks is like as close to liquid as you can get, right? It's a lot more liquid than real estate. It's a lot less of a hassle when it comes to pulling out your funds as it is in any other of the asset classes like a real estate would be, right? And here's the thing though that people don't understand is you're gonna lose money. Stocks go up and down every single day. You're not just gonna put your money in and it goes up, 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 right? Just like 401k, people 401ks are down right now. People's IRAs are down right now, you know. And like I said, you don't realize those losses or lock in those losses until you sell out of a position. So I tell everyone investing in the stock market is a long-term game. So you're gonna know it's gonna go down some in the short term, but 2-3 years down the road, you're gonna 10x, you're gonna double your money type of deal. You know, it's just a lack of education, right? Because you only fear what you don't understand. Me personally, I'm not taking my money out of the markets because it's gonna lose value sitting in the bank. Inflation is at an all-time high. You know, it's like the highest it's been in 40 years. You know, and your dollar is getting eaten up by inflation quicker than the markets could ever potentially eat it up, right? And people just don't understand that for you to get the most out of your money in the markets, you have to stay invested. If you're trying to time the bottom, if you're trying to just not lose money, you're not going to get the most returns, especially in a bear market. So you're not going to get the most returns that you could possibly get. It's a long-term game. You're going to lose money. It's going to happen. You know, it's a part of the game.
I don't like losing.
No
What
one
do
likes
you
losing,
think?
but
What
you
do
have
you
to think
think,
about
Mr.
it
Bay?
long term. It's a long term game. No one likes losing, but it's long term though, right? So it's like you got to think about it like this. With your 401k, you can't touch it till you're 59 and a half years old.
I don't do 401k though. That's my point. Like
Yeah.
But
I'm not that person.
it depends on your contract, because some people borrow against their 401k well above then, and then they'll just take the penalty. But I agree with the aspect of being mindful of what you're doing when you invest as it pertains to risk management for sure, because it's about having a proper technical analysis in place, understanding what it is that you're investing in, and also understanding what your goals are as an investor, because there's short-term traders, like there's day traders, and then there's people who like there's multiple terms for it, but they'll allow a trade to overturn into like the next cycle, the continuing day. And then there are people who are long-term holders, like me. Majority, I'm a long-term holder because I don't care to day trade in that aspect, but I do see the benefit in it if you can leverage in that capacity. But because I hedge, and because of the type of business models that I have, we usually invest in companies that we have relationships with, and then that also give dividends. And because of how much leverage we're putting in place, it's beneficial for us to invest in these type of models. So my mindset, I don't fear the stock market, and I also understand the short game. And a book that I do recommend that people look into, it is, well, first, like if anybody's ever seen the movie 21, when they are counting cards, It was a young European boy. He had went to MIT, and they used to go gamble at the casinos and stuff out in Vegas. And because he had the ability to count cards, which is not illegal, I can count cards. You just have to have an understanding of how many cards have been played throughout each time, and then you X out what's ever been played, right? This movie is made off of a real individual. His name is Dr. Edward Thorpe, and he wrote a book called How to Beat the Dealer. And within this book, he talks about how to win at blackjack, and he also talks about how to beat roulette. And when you learn gambling, you're also learning risk management, right? Which is very important because risk management is one of the key factors when it comes to stock investments. And then this man actually got banned from casinos in real life, Dr. Thorpe. And then he later wrote the book, How to Beat the Market. And this is one of the foundational books that people also use in the stock market, just because of the teaching of understanding risk management, understanding how to beat a bear market, understanding that you can invest off of bonds, real estate investment trust. The market is just more than you patronizing other people's businesses, because that's what you're doing when you invest into a stock. You are helping somebody else in order to benefit and hedge. Even though, so I have a company, we go public. So if you invest into my business, you're helping my business to grow in order for us to run capital over to other things and leverage. So you have to keep that in mind. That's the reason why you're a owner when you are a stockholder in some aspect.
How long have you been in this field, Mr. Bay?
Uh, I got introduced to stock trading in the second grade because I went to so over 20 years now. I went to DoD schools. I grew up on a military base, so they was teaching me how to trade on Apple computers back in the day. And I really didn't get an interest and really start investing my money into it until after I got 18. I was just so heavily involved in school, but I always understood what was going on, and I would watch the market. I just would never invest in it. So just learning, and especially because during around the time I'm graduating, which is '09, it's '08, '09, the market is trash. Like Obama's giving out stimulus packages and things. BlackRock is buying up everything. So I didn't see it to be beneficial for me to be putting money into the market at that particular time. I was on my way to college. I was thinking about track, football, girls. My mind was other places. But then with the transition and with the merging markets, and then we see Web 3.0 coming and crypto, even though crypto was popping up, and what we just hit 14 years since the white paper on October 31st. So 14 years ago, Bitcoin like hit the world really. So just understanding how the world has changed since that 14-year period and where we are when it comes to digital currencies and what that particular market looks like. And now we're seeing digital bonds be established and companies, large scale companies that are publicly traded, and some that are even trust companies like Rolex is a trust business, and they possibly will be getting involved in NFTs soon. So it's just seeing these migrations of how the markets are evolving. But I'm here for all of it.
Everything that you guys are talking about is going for me. I'm amazed that you are two handsome Black men who are, into this type of thing. Like, I would like to know, like, really what got you into it, and how what would you say to other Black men, that pretty much don't know, are aimless,
For me, I have a genuine. Even though being competitive is not always positively looked upon, I have a competitive heart, and I understand what my personal goals are, and I see how me having a financial understanding can help me to get to that particular point. And the stock market, insurance, and hedging, all of these things played a part, like understanding law, banking, like hedge funds, how money move. When you study how money move, you understand these are patterns. So I seen certain patterns that I should align myself with early, and it allowed me to make a lot of money very early. So if I could give anybody any advice, like if just like looking at the market don't really interest you and you're like a TV person, like you should watch shows like Billions, shows like Succession, and it'll
I
give
don't know
you.
if that's background noise, and I don't want to interrupt you, but it's kind of maybe I don't know if it's you, but it's hard to hear. It's some type of audio going on. Is it air
I don't know.
or an airplane?
That's not for me. I don't think.
Maybe it's some air. I'm not 100% certain. It might be air, like not
Okay,
a fan or anything, but it might be like the AC or something like that.
so when
I'm
you're
about to say
not
how
speaking, I'm just going to ask to mute your mic,
All right.
you
or
you can do it.
Okay, if you're not speaking, and just so you know that I'll just go ahead and unmute your mic as we move forward. But DJ, go ahead. Do you do anything like community based where you have something for up and coming, young Black men that didn't have the opportunities you had in the second grade to get into something like this?
Oh, for sure. I have a martial arts dojo down here in South Florida, and I have a couple of locations where we actually have physical meetups and things like this. But I do have my online academy, and it's like I mentioned earlier, the DJ Bay Mastermind.com, where we have established our online school from our old system, but we've incorporated the Trust Fund Baby model, which is like super child friendly, which is the NFT project. And just throughout the artwork, being able to show people how to utilize these particular markets, such as, the stock market, the crypto market, establishing cryptocurrencies, NFTs, integrating these things into their businesses. I do that from all ages, even assisting children learning how to start coding, because I code. Is if it helps the business grow, I'll learn how to do it. And I just want to be able to share that type of mindset with young people. And martial arts is really a gateway in order for me to do a lot of that on the ground level.
Okay. Well, kudos to you. Like I definitely hope there's some young Black men listening that is going to latch on to this, because I really firmly believe that, as a woman, there gets to be more successful Black men. Like we get to have more options because the pickings are slim. And going into that, I'd like to add or ask the both of you, starting with you, Mr. Bay, how do you feel about in a financial aspect? Do you feel like marriage is, beneficial to what you're building? Like, has that been beneficial? Because you did mention, you were when you didn't take interest in stocks in college because you were into the girls. So having multiple women, I've heard a quote that said, you don't really get successful until you focus on one woman type of thing. Like, what's your take on that?
I concur. I'm a married man, and I've been with the same. It's so funny because like my freshman year of college, I was with one particular young lady, and we're still cool to this day. But then they wouldn't let me graduate early. They wanted me to stay and take extra classes, so I ended up transferring out, coming back to Michigan, and then I ended up dealing with a young lady who's been doing my hair since high school, and so she's still been doing my hair now. And we ended up having our first child almost 2 years ago, and now we'll be having our second, and we are coming up on over 10 years in our relationship. And just being able to have that type of longevity in my relationship, I contribute a lot of my business success to my business partner. Just being able to be tolerant of everything, being able to communicate with everything that's going on, because like when you take up, like, I'm technically like a public figure, and I do lectures, and I communicate with a lot of people, a lot of women, and also men, but a lot of women. Like I have a larger female following than I do male, but I have a large amount of males who support what it is that I do. And it's just, as a woman, being able to be secure in your space, and me being able to reassure that, like, and then also the education aspect that comes with the growth, because like we got together early 20s. I'm now 31 now. So that's like, we watched each other grow up. So also being tolerant and allowing people to change, it was very detrimental. And then you also look at any people who are actually successful, even though some of them may be divorced, most of them are in relationships. And in order for you to run a country or a government, usually they want you to be married, right?
Yes.
So yeah, it shows a level of balance in that. Also, it, in some aspects, it prevents you from being easily swayed by the female persuasion as a male, because that particular aspect of your life is already secured. So if you're going to be taking over large scale corporations such as governments, it will behoove you, in order for you to have your household built out, and that you're not looking and searching for people and then going through these emotional breakups and things that people are usually go through and throughout these building stages while you're running these type of business models. Because sometimes people allow their personal life to roll over into their business, and then what would that look like for the United States? Terrible, right? Terrible. So it's never beneficial. But that's my piece.
Okay. How about you, Mr. Stock Market J? What is your take on, why is it not letting me? Okay, I need you to unmute yourself too. But what is your take on whether you feel like, well, first of all, are you married? And
No, I mean, I have a girlfriend though. I have a long time girlfriend. Well, I'm gonna say 2 years. Maybe that's long time, short time. I'm not sure, but
well, it's about the same amount of time you've been interested in stocks. So, do you attribute that to your consistency at all?
I'm sorry. Say it again.
Do you attribute that to your consistency at all?
I mean, it definitely. I tell you what, it definitely keeps me. It keeps me grounded. Because she adds a different level of. I can get like tunnel vision. You know what I'm saying? I can get real like lasered in and stuff, and then I can get, just kind of, I can lose perspective on a lot of different things that's happening around me, because I'm so focused on building my brand. I'm so focused on educating myself. I'm so focused on networking and connecting with people. And she kind of like brings me back down, like, hey, we need to be doing this, whether it's with the family or whether it's, having our time. Like, women, you guys look at everything a lot more kind of 360. You have that 360 view. That's why a lot of women are in management positions in businesses, right? Because you can look a lot deeper than what's on the surface. And that's played an important role in me and what I'm able to do, because like I said, it keeps me grounded. So if I'm looking at things in one direction, or if I'm feeling a certain type of way, she can give me that other angle and that other perspective to kind of like help me round out my decision making, to where I am able to make the best decisions and why I am able to continue to build the way I am. So it definitely, you have to have that balance. That's the law of polarity, that yin and that yang, that masculine and that feminine come together, you know what I'm saying? So you have
Y'all
to have
gotta give that to like the men, so that we can have more of a selection. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, for a woman like me, I definitely see the value. And I mean, y'all speaking right now. Do you feel, either of you, like there's this whole polygamy thing that's, I want to say it's kind of new age. It's become more popular in the new age. I'll start with you, Mr. Stock Market J. Do you feel like that helps build wealth amongst our culture quicker? Or
I can definitely say that it'll add an extra income. I'll say that. I'm not sure if it, because it's a couple of different ways you can look at that. Yes, it'll build wealth quicker, because it's like you have different areas of focus, right? You can have one person, okay, let me focus on the bills. One person, let me strictly focus on straight investments, right? Like I'm only gonna put my money's going straight towards investments, and then one person can focus on, household, lifestyle, whatever, right? That'll take an extreme amount of trust, which a lot of people don't have, and then it'll take extreme amount of like just understanding, which a lot of people don't have to be able to even have a relationship with multiple people like that. But I can see the value in it. Would it be for me? No, because I mean, I don't have that level of focus. But
Everybody don't have that level of focus.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to know, what your strengths and your weaknesses are, because some people just get into it because it's, like I said, it's trending. How about you, Mr. Bay?
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I come from a polygamous bloodline. My grandparents joined tribes by marrying two women, one of the Lenape tribe, one of the Seneca tribe. I'm a descendant of chiefs. And in my natal chart, as I mentioned before when I spoke publicly before, it clearly states that monogamy is not for me. So naturally, I'm somebody who, when I was younger, I struggled with monogamous relationships, and I would be able to, but I was fortunate enough to be able to communicate that, because I remember one time, one girl, when I was going to college with her, I was communicating with another girl, and women from Detroit are different. Don't play with women from Detroit. That's one thing I can tell you. So she got upset because it was a girl from college texting me, and we was home on break or whatever. And it was my birthday was coming up or whatever. And she was asking me like what type of shoes that I want. She was like, you texting this, called her out her name for some shoes, and just like, So it's just understanding, like, it wasn't emotional for me or anything in that capacity. It's just, I was able to communicate always with everyone, very verbal, and I have the gift of gab. So people migrate towards me. So I was not able to hold certain relationships with women who wasn't able to understand who I was. So when I was able to find somebody who, I'm a Sagittarius, she ended up being a Sagittarius. So we had some form of understanding of like how we like our space and how we like to work and what is important to us and what our wants and needs are. We have an understanding of that. So also her understanding my natal chart and things like that, she understood when we were younger, it was a little bit more difficult to convey some of these things. But as we continuously communicate, and then we go through these trials and we court other people and we see what it's like, and we understand what it is we're exactly looking for as a unit. I like how he said, I had to realize just because she's thick, that doesn't mean she's a fit. So that was serious for me, because, and he also made a clear earlier he made a statement about them making a contribution with the income. If the individual is not already established, don't look to necessarily build people up to bring them into those situations and look for them to be a benefit, because then to some capacity you're trying to change someone in order to fit. That's almost like banging a puzzle piece into the puzzle piece in order so it can fit. You're forcing it.
I have a question. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's so many questions going. So in this dynamic, is everyone in one space? They're sharing a space and building out from there? Or being as though you said that, this person is already established, they may have their own space somewhere.
I can talk about my life experiences. Okay. That way it's not hypothetical. So at my first apartment that I got down here in Miami, it was off the water and stuff. I had my Empress, the woman who I'm married to, and then my previous girlfriend who was from Chicago. She had moved down, so I had two women in the apartment. It was just me, but we all had like our own travel schedules because I would be working, I would be touring, doing lectures and stuff like this. And then also COVID came, so sometimes we all would just be in the house because traveling was limited as well. But it was one thing I realized, like, even though I got a big apartment off the water and stuff, so I realized women need their own space because every woman is different.
Mm-hmm.
And like, unless you gonna put them in a mansion that they can have their own side of the house, you should really be mindful about putting a lot of women in the same area, just because one important thing, fellas, if you don't know, their cycles sync up.
Yeah,
So their
it's gonna
moods
be hell for you.
sync up. So that means you'll be going through situations. If you don't understand what that is, I feel for you. But yeah. That is important to know. So, if you can find a good partner and you all can be spaced apart and you all can still work out time management and things like that, I'm fortunate to have one of those type of relationships where we set appointments to go see each other and things like this, and we work with each other, so we communicate often, more than almost anybody else that I talk to, just because of the level of business that we do with each other. So also finding ways in order to incorporate that time with one another. So for me, like, business is one of my love languages, and me being able to communicate in that capacity with somebody that I care about and actually build things, it helps me to, one, provide, and also give them something right off the rip. And also we're communicating and doing team building exercises in my mind, but that still may not be fulfilling to my partner's love language. So then I have to circle back and then see what it is that they need still as well. So being mindful of those type of things is important.
So this brings me to my next question, because I've been approached with the polygamous conversation, and I totally get it financially. I'm a type of person. I'm very much a loner, so I don't necessarily need or require day-to-day interactions with people. I've tunnel vision. My last, I guess all of my relationships in life have stemmed from me meeting someone at work. Like, I don't really, you know what I'm saying? I don't really, have a kind of a social life, if you will. But it's like the only thing that would, I guess, make me hesitant is the point of it would be to have a man for protection or provision. And if he is not in the home, or like, who's there to protect if he's not there? If he's visiting, or if he's,
Money protects. It's called security systems, security dogs, firearms,
good
security
one.
detail. Money
Okay.
protects.
Gotcha. All right. I hope y'all guys listening out there. For real. Because you got to come correct with things like this. I'm definitely glad to have both of you on the show. Now, are there any, for someone like me, who kind of is a little bit skeptical about trading in the bear market, but really interested in multiple streams of income and traveling internationally and having, passive streams of income? I'm glad you guys are speaking on stock market trading, and not like day trading, something that I have to look at and pay attention to on a daily basis, but something that I can leave, like, put in there and leave there and have it just grow over time, like it's investment. Um, are there any tips that you want to give to beginners while we're here? I'll start with you, Mr. Bay.
I was going to say, you can let brother Jay go first, please,
Okay.
because he.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm gonna go
Oh no,
ahead.
I just got done speaking. I wanted him to go.
Okay.
Yeah, so for that, I'm gonna say first, investing should definitely be a part of every family's SOP. It's kind of
What's SOP?
the
Break that down.
standard operating procedures.
Got it.
The art of economics that was kept from us as a race. You know what I'm saying? They kept that from us as a people. How to build that capital up, right, and build those family trust, as brother over there was saying, brother Bay was saying. So, what I would say to any beginner that's looking to invest, just understand this: the stock market is a place where you have to put in some some form of education, right? Because education limits risk and it maximizes profits, right? When we start talking about risk management, a way for investor, a beginner investor, I would say that it's something called the S&P 500. It's an index, okay? It tracks the 500 largest companies in the United States, right? And it annualizes it's like 10% per annum, like every year. It has been like that. Like some years it might be 7, some years it might be 20, some years it might be 12, some years it might be 9, but over a 20-year span, it'll annualize you a 10% return. Okay. So you know for a fact your money is going to grow at least 10%, right? It was a stat that came out that said if you're 18 and you put $250 every month into the S&P 500, by the time you're 60, you'll have 1.6 or 1.8 million dollars. When you're 40, you'll have $800,000, right? So I would just suggest that someone with dollar cost average, which basically is just a set time, an incremental amount of money every pay period, every week, every month, however often you can get it, a set amount of money into the S&P 500 index. You set it on autopilot. You can set it and forget it and know that your money will appreciate. Like I said, over the past, I believe I actually looked it up over the last 30 years. It's like around 11% annualized. The S&P 500 is like the safest investment vehicle you can put your money in terms of setting it and forget it. Put it on autopilot. Like I said, it's an index. It's one of the top weighted indexes in the stock market. And it's definitely going to be one of the safest and most practical investment strategies you can use. So like I said, dollar cost averaging, that's basically like you're not looking to, okay, the market's down, let me go deploy some capital, right? So I can lower my cost basis. No, it's like every single time you get paid, automatically, you don't even got to worry about it. And you know for a fact, like I said, it's proven, it goes all the way back 30, 40, 50 years. Your money will grow 10% a year in the long term by investing into the S&P 500. So for any investor,
real quick, the S&P 500 is 500 US based companies.
yeah, the largest company. So it'll be, you'll have your Apples will be in there. You'll have your Teslas in there. You'll have your Microsofts, Googles, Nike, all that good stuff. Like the biggest 500, it'll be companies you don't even know about. And
What
this
if
is
I'm a conspiracy theorist and I think the US gonna fall?
then I'm glad you brought that up because I actually invest into other markets, in the foreign markets. Okay, the Chinese markets are a little bit more volatile because their government isn't like that trustworthy. Their government has shut the country down. The government has a lot of geopolitical things going on. It's a lot of things that impact the stock market, from the economy to geopolitical factors to any data points and news coming out, inflation, different headwinds, things like that. I don't want to get to go over the heads of too many beginners, but so I invest in I had invested in the Chinese markets, the German markets. You have Indian stock exchange.
How do you find these things?
It's all online. I mean, it's literally everything. Like you said, it's digital, right? It's all online. You have a brokerage account, which will be whatever platform that you buy your stocks from. It's like, I look at the stock market like a bank account on steroids, right? You literally get paid a good dividend. You can get good appreciation. You're not getting that 0.01% you get from your bank account, right? You can just, like I said, it's the educational part behind it, and that's what I teach people. I teach people that
I'm gonna have
education.
to become educated because this is a lot.
It is a lot, and that's why it's best to. It's not, if you're not gonna just invest into the S&P 500 and set it and forget it. If you want to do a little bit more and be a little bit more risky or whatever like that, I definitely advise that someone would get a coach, get a financial advisor, or just educate yourself like in the way like I did. Like I tell people, like, you want to learn the lingo before you get into the markets. You want to learn, of course, that risk management, like Brother Bay said. You want to learn what moves the market, because like right now, inflationary data just came out, the jobs report just came out. Stocks are going down, right? Because the jobs report came in hot, which means that it was more jobs created than expected. More jobs created than expected means that it's going to be more people getting paychecks. More people getting paychecks means there's more liquidity into the markets, and more liquidity into the markets means that the Federal Reserve will have to pull more liquidity out of the markets by way of raising interest rates. So that means that interest rates will be going up. That's going to impact stock market is forward thinking. So anyone that wants to get into the markets, definitely educate yourself. Definitely find your coach, find your advisor. Don't just put the stock market isn't a place to gamble. Okay, if you want to gamble, go to the casino. Don't use the stock market for that. That's why people think that stocks are rigged or stocks are a scam or whatever the case may be. It's just a lack of education, right? So for any beginners out there, just definitely do your due diligence. I tell people, watch Yahoo Finance every single day. They'll give you, they don't do my style of investing because they're, it's a lot of different, Wall Street is different. They're dealing with a lot of hedge funds. They're dealing with big money and they're dealing with other people's money. So they're scared to lose their money. And I can show people a strategy on how you won't lose money, but you don't get as big of a return than the strategy that I use, right? And like I said, it's the educational part that really is going to be that I can't stress that enough.
Do
You have to
you coach? You coach?
yeah, I offer
Okay.
coaching. Yeah, so I definitely, so anyone that's looking for any type of coaching, stock market, Facebook, I'm definitely open to coaching. Like I said, I work with people one-on-one. I honestly feel like that's the best way to get, because I can sit here and tell you like all the stuff I just said from the data, from the economy, geopolitical stuff, that'll go right over your head, right? I tell people you have to understand business, simple economics. You don't have to be an economist, simple economics. And you have to understand, you have to be into the markets every day to understand what's moving the markets, right? Because different news moves the markets. So you have to understand how business works, because the economy and business is like sisters. It's like sister. Economics is a business to business, and they're both impacted. So one, the economy is impacted, it'll impact the business, and then the business will pass that impact on to consumers, to me and you in the light. And it's like it's a cycle, and you have to understand how that cycle works in order to get the most out of it. Me personally, I haven't lost money since I started investing in the stock market.
Wow.
And that's just using the strategy. I'm a fundamental investor. I use fundamental analysis. I just basically determine whether a business is growing, has been growing for the last 15 to 20 years, and is it projected to grow for the next 15 to 20 years, right? Because all of the businesses that have been around and still around and that are thriving and growing, like your Coca-Colas, your Procter and Gamble's, your Johnson and Johnson's, your McDonald's, things of that nature, right? These companies have been around for quite some time. They're not going anywhere. A company like Hostess, which is actually growing right now, given this, like their stock is still up. Like it's a bear market right now, but you have stocks that aren't even down right now.
Wow.
You have stocks that are selling at a 52-week high. And it's just, these are just great business models. I tell people this, and this is just a golden nugget I want to give people before I give it over to Brother Bay. A growing business equates to a growing stock. So if you find a business that's growing, that stock will in step grow as well. That, I'm not saying it'll grow the next day, the next week, the next month, because sometimes it takes the stock market a little while to catch up to that business, right? Unless it's an extremely popular business. But over time, that stock will grow in step with that business. And that's why I love fundamental analysis so much, because you're looking and you're building a story around. And this is why I tell people that I coach, you need to build a story around the business you want to invest in, right? And this story, you building it with the numbers. Do the numbers make sense? Numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. If I take the big four numbers, your operating cash, your free cash flow, your earnings, and your revenue, that's like the engine of any business right there. If you can go back 15, 20 years and the company has grown those numbers consistently, then you have a growing business, right? That's a strong business that will in turn translate to a strong stock. You might have a blip here and there. That's called short-term noise. If you have a quarter where the numbers are off, or a year where the numbers are off, it might, something like COVID might have happened, or something like Chipotle with the E. coli scare might have happened. But that stock has since rebounded, right? Great companies have a lot of cash on their balance sheets, and they can weather any short-term noise. They can pick up the slack of whatever's happening. They can navigate, they can adjust, and they can continue to build. So any new investors, I would tell you this: you want to make sure you're investing into a company that has a strong moat. So what protects this company from outside competitors? Okay. You want to invest in a company with a great management team. And the management team is what drives the company. They make all the decisions. They if something is going on in the economy, they have to make a decision to slow hiring, to stop hiring, to cut the staff, to change a business model like Netflix just did, adding on ad revenue because they're falling behind, or things of that nature, right? You want to invest in a company with plenty of cash, right? With more cash than debt. Just like in your personal life, you want, unless you're leveraging that debt to make you money, you would rather have more cash than debt, right? You want to have a company that's cash loaded with low debt, and then you want to build a story around that and figure out if that's the best investment for you to make in your hard-earned money, right? The name of the game is to make money, not lose money.
Absolutely. I'm all for making money.
Yeah, we all are.
I'm all for making money. I had a question. Who was it? All right. So, what is a good amount to start with if I want to stick my pinky toe in the investment water?
Whatever you can afford. It's not a
Literally, like I can start
yeah.
with $2.
Yeah, you can. You can buy a lot of
$2.
these a lot of these brokerage apps. They allow you to do what's called partial shares, which means that you won't own a full share, but you will have a partial share just to get started and get that money growing. Now, I will say this: the more that you invest, the more that you make. Okay, so if you have more shares, that means you'll make more money in dividends and you'll make more money in appreciation, right? So if you buy, let's say, a share of a company for $10, right? And then a year that company is now valued at $15 a share. Well, now you just made $5. Well, if you did that 500, if you did that 100 times, instead you just made $500 instead of the $5, right? Or you'll lose that same amount of money. Or with dividends as well, you have a company that pays 25 cents a quarter, annualized at $1 a year. Then that means every quarter you're gonna make, or every 3 months you're gonna make 25 cents. But if you have, let's say 10 shares, you'll end up making $2.50 and so on and so forth. But you can get started. The name of the game is to build the investment habit, right? And I often tell people, and the numbers are different for me, but when you're first starting out, 10% of your money should be saved, 10% should be invested, 10% should be donated, tithe, given to charity, whatever, and then pay your bills and live on the rest. A lot of people have to understand it's a certain financial education, certain financial habits you want to have before you begin investing, but you definitely want to be able to start somewhere, right? You want to be able to start allocating your money in the market.
What's the best brokerage app in your opinion?
To me, the most user friendly, I'm going to say, is going to be Robinhood. The best one that I've come across is, like I said, user friendly. That means it's not hard to understand the app. It's a very easy platform to use. I use TD Ameritrade. They actually have a stock investing course on there. Like, what I tell people to do, call up like 5 of the top brokerages and see what all resources and educational tools they offer, and whatever works best for you, that's what you go with. I use TD Ameritrade. They offer courses, they have videos, they have YouTube videos, I actually took like investing course on there as well, and just went through the motions, and I learned a great deal of information there. It's really, but it's a bit more advanced. You will get on there and you won't know what's going on. If you just now jumping into the world of investing, you'll get on that app and you it's like a foreign language, it's like you're reading Spanish. You really won't know what's going on.
Okay.
But I say a user-friendly app is Robinhood, great to start with. Maybe Cash App. I'm not sure how that platform works. But as far as user-friendly, those are going to be the ones. But I appreciate TD Ameritrade. Definitely has the investing courses on there. Definitely has the tools. They have a 24/7 customer service. They're definitely there to help you. They show you how to use their platform. Like they literally walk through with you for like an hour using the platform. So TD Ameritrade is a great brokerage to go with, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, do you think it's best to trade out of like a out of a business account or like a personal?
Well, it just depends on what your goals are. So let's say if you have,
I'm a
a trust
conspiracy
setup.
theorist now, so
Yeah.
I don't want to get for nothing.
I feel you. Well, it's like if you have a trust, like you say you have your trust, you have your LLC, all that good stuff. You don't want nothing attached to your name, then you want to do it out of a business account, like Warren Buffett does. He doesn't have all of his net worth is tied up into Berkshire Hathaway stock, which is the company that he owns and operates. And they're the ones that buy the stock. He doesn't buy it, they buy it, right? He doesn't have anything. So if you want to be like the wealthy, control everything, own nothing, do it through the business. If you don't mind it, do it yourself. These brokerages now have things where you can add beneficiaries on there, leave it to your kids, whatever like that. And you actually, in my how I'm going about doing it, with the trust route, you actually can leave behind your portfolio for the next generation. Well, my kids won't get it, but their kids will get it, right? They'll be able to get access half the portfolio, and then their next generation of kids, when they turn 21, to be able to access the portfolio, and then so on and so forth, like that, right? So to continue to compound and appreciate over the years. But that's why the stock market is so beautiful, in my opinion. You can't Your 401k can't get left to your kids. Maybe if you, I mean, assuming you don't most people are outliving that money now, right? Your regular bank account, what's that? It's gonna end up being nothing by the time you retire or when your kids get a hold of it. It won't last for generations. The stock market can last for generations, right? And a lot of people don't understand that that's the beauty in investing in the stock market. So whether you want to do it through your business or through your personal self, just make sure you set up the everything that you need in order to be able to continue to pass that down to the next generations, to make sure everybody is still able to access not only the capital but the information as well. Like the information has to be in place, the financial education and that generational information has to be in place so they don't fumble the bag. Because of course, if you're just getting them free wad of money from a stock market, you're just gonna be like, cash me out, let me go spend the money. But they understand the value of it and how it's able to grow. Those systems are in place. You'll actually be able to have something for generations. People that you never even would think about the meeting, never even don't know who, probably wouldn't even know your name at this point. Well, they probably would because you're the person that left them the money. But you know, that's what this is about. It's about sustainability over the long term for generations to come.
Yes, indeed. Now, Mr. Bay, um, same questions for you. What do you think is, I guess, the best brokerage app to use for beginners?
Okay, so as a beginner, first off, Dior. Like, do your own
Spell that?
research.
Oh,
Dior.
do your own research. Okay, I thought
Yeah,
that was an app.
Dior. No. Do your own research.
Okay.
We all have access to YouTube, and you can. I like, even when I'm building out different like frameworks for different services that my companies may be providing. If I picked up I don't necessarily want to give none of these other companies any shout outs, but like we use a integration, an API, let's say, and but I checked it out on YouTube and I ran a comparison, like I did a split testing between other companies. So that if you have to see what works best for you, and you also have to measure where you are as a trader as well. Because I'm not, like, me personally, because I've been doing it for so long, I'm not fond of like apps like Robinhood or Cash App for these particular things. But one thing that is beneficial on Cash App is the rollover investment that they have just added. So understanding that you can, like, pretty much, if you go get something for $1.50, that extra 50 cents can get rolled over into your Apple stock. It can get rolled over to Bitcoin. These type of things are good for starters, because if you don't necessarily know what you're doing as of yet, it also incentivizes you in order for you to get educated, because you're going to want to know how you pull your money out in the first place.
Yeah.
Because you're going to see it grow. And like, these are pennies on a dollar, literally, for, minor investments. One of the main brokerage apps that I do use is Webull. And I trade off private profiles. I don't use a social security number to trade because I understand certain aspects of tax liability. And I am a great trader. I pick wins, and I play for the long game. Like, one of the companies that so when UFC went public, I invested in Endeavor. And for those who don't know who Endeavor is, Emil is the owner. He's the one particular individual who came out and pretty much blackballed Mr. West, And so Endeavor they have power. They run a lot of corporations as well. And then I also invested in some EV companies like before they went public on the private investment side because I be hunting for different businesses. So I got them when it was around like $7 a share. By the time they went public, they was dropping at almost $30. So good, just little come up. So like how he was talking about looking at the business model, looking for companies that are scalable, that are constantly, consistently moving in a forward direction. They're providing new offers to people. They're providing new products, or they're revamping the same product that they had, like Apple, and then providing it again, even in knowing that they have a trusted customer base network. You have to look at companies that have good numbers for real, because you only want to invest in wins. It's not about this game has no place for emotions. It has nothing to do with what you feel like, what you may love. We know you like Nike and all of this, yes, but is Nike going to scale? How have shoes been doing throughout the last 2 to 4 years? Look at the shoe game period, even with the transition with the last individual I mentioned leaving that particular realm for a moment. These companies are struggling. So are these valuable investments, even though that you may like these company models? But we see Apple just dropped iOS 16, and now they have these integrations for these new APIs for AR maps, and also the passport integration to the wallet, and also all of the state IDs. So now they're contracting on a different capacity. What does this mean for this company? TikTok now is allowing adult content. What does that mean for that company? What does that mean for? So understanding the market, watching it, paying attention. Like I'm not necessarily a Yahoo Finance guy. I was when I was a little bit younger, like because we had the app on one of our TVs. But like I'm a Bloomberg baby. So like I tap into Bloomberg, and I also, because they report some international aspects as well. So I like to see what type of information they're presenting, but I read a lot of articles about what's going on in the world. That way I can kind of get a feel for what is going to sway the market to go in what direction. Because the way I look at it, it is like Forex plays a part, because Forex is the, like the international currency play. So if this is the international currencies for all of the world, and these particular currencies is the pretty much the spending mechanism for all of these stocks in these particular areas, it clearly works together. And when there's a war, we see currencies adjust. When there's tariff supply, we see currencies adjust. So we know based on these currency changes, these also can affect the stock market. So based on just humans and the things that they decide to do on a day-to-day basis, the stock market can be adjusted every moment, minute, and time, and it will. So you have to be able to, like in martial arts, we have a thing, and I just expressed this to somebody, because like it was a fly in my house, and like it bothered me, and I caught it with my hand and I killed it. But it's not about hitting where it is. It's not about going where it's at. It's about going where it's going to be. So thinking about where the company is going to be is where you want to land at. Because if you catch it early, that's a win for you. You just have to understand and be patient, and also understand risk management. How much money are you willing to put in it? And also, like biblically, it said you don't give money that you're not willing to get back. You feel me? Yeah. So look at the stock market the same way. Don't put it in there if you're not willing to lose it. It's part of the game. Part of the scared money don't make money. And it takes money to make money. Like literally, like who gets anything out of a vending machine without putting anything in? True. That's not the way this works.
True.
So if you want dividends from a business, you have to give me some energy so I can give you some back, right?
Yeah.
So that's really all it is. But understand, how much energy are you willing to give from yourself to these organizations in order for you to be able to benefit from it? And if we're talking about transgenerational wealth, what companies will possibly be around when your great grandchildren will be around? Because now we're talking about trust companies like the Waltons, Walmart, Walgreens, Johnson & Johnson. And these are publicly traded businesses, but these are also trust, Rolex, trust, but also, you know what I'm saying? Very high standing businesses. So are you going to invest in these brands, but also be sure in order to pay attention to these business models and align one for your own family, because being mindful of what is really happening on the market, like most of the money on the market is insurance money.
Yeah.
So the
And
players
bond, okay, so I got, this is about to go into a whole nother conversation, but I'm so sorry, we got to wrap it up. I'm going to have you back on the show because I have like 11 different questions right now. Closing thoughts, gentlemen. We'll start with you, Mr. Bay, since you have the mic.
Get educated. Dior, do your own research and understand if you're not willing to sacrifice, you won't get far. Peace.
Thank you for coming on. And Mr. Stock Market J, your closing thoughts.
Man, just understand that the stock market isn't a place to gamble. Definitely education, proper education limits risk and it maximizes profits. If you want to make you some real money and your goal is to not lose money, educate yourself and make sure that you take the proper steps to ensure that you're not out here wasting your money in the markets. That's really it though.
Absolutely. Thank you both, gentlemen, for joining us this evening. It was a powerful show. I have a bunch of different questions, so I'll probably ask you back on very soon, where we can touch on some other topics, because y'all are, have a couple different expertise, especially about that polygamy stuff. But yeah, it's been a wonderful show, and you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you for tuning in to Black Space Live.